My fiancé posted, "I want him to prove his loyalty before the wedding with a polygraph." I commented, "Sure, you go first." Then I scheduled 2 tests, one for her, one for me. When the examiner started asking her the questions about her secrets, I'm 38, and until last month, I was planning my wedding to a woman I thought I knew inside and out. Her name's Rachel. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months. She was a marketing director, charismatic, always knew how to work a room. I loved that about her. She had this confidence that made you feel like everything would be okay as long as she was around. But Rachel had this thing about social media. Everything had to be documented, shared, discussed publicly. Our engagement photos got over 2,000 likes. She posted about our date nights, our arguments that we worked through together, even our couples therapy sessions when we hit a rough patch last spring. I wasn't thrilled about the oversharing, but I figured it was just her generation. She was younger than me by 6 years, and this was how people connected now. The trouble started 3 weeks ago. We were having dinner at her place, talking about the wedding. Guest list stuff, mostly. She was scrolling through her phone between bites of pasta, and suddenly she looked up at me with this strange expression. "Babe, I've been thinking about something." "Yeah? What's up?" She set down her fork. "I saw this thing online, a couple who got polygraph tests before their wedding, like to make sure there were no secrets going into the marriage." I laughed. "That's insane. Who does that?" "People who want to start their marriage with complete honesty." She wasn't laughing. "I think we should do it." I put down my own fork. "Rachel, come on. We've been together 3 years. We know each other." "Do we? I mean, really?" She leaned forward. "What if there's something you're not telling me? Or something I'm not telling you? Wouldn't it be better to clear the air now instead of having it come out later? What would you possibly be hiding from me?" She shrugged. "Nothing. That's the point. We'd both prove we have nothing to hide." I should have seen it then, the way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes. But I was annoyed, not suspicious. "If you need me to take a polygraph to marry you, maybe we have bigger problems." She got quiet after that. Changed the subject. I thought that was the end of it. 2 days later, I was tagged in a Facebook post. Rachel had written a long paragraph about trust, transparency, and modern relationships. The key line, "I want him to prove his loyalty before the wedding with a polygraph. If you have nothing to hide, why would you say no?" My phone exploded. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone saw it. My mom called me in a panic. My best friend, Tony, sent me a screenshot with the caption, "Dude, what the hell?" I called Rachel immediately. "What is this?" "What's what?" "The Facebook post. You made it sound like I'm hiding something." "I didn't say that. I just said I think polygraphs are a good idea for engaged couples." "You tagged me. Everyone thinks I'm refusing because I'm guilty of something." "Well, are you refusing? That's not the point." She sighed. "Look, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. But if you're this defensive, maybe there is something to talk about." That's when I got angry. Really angry. Not because of the polygraph itself, but because she'd weaponized social media to pressure me. The comments on her post were already piling up, her friends taking her side. "If he won't take the test, that's a red flag." Sounds like someone has something to hide. A few people defending me, but they were drowned out. I sat there staring at my phone for about 20 minutes. Then I typed a comment under her post. "Sure, you go first." 3 words. That's all it took. Within an hour, she called me back. "What do you mean, I go first?" "Exactly what I said. You want us to take polygraphs? Great. We'll both do it. But since it was your idea, you can go first. Set the example." Silence on her end. Then, "That's ridiculous. We should do them at the same time." "Why? If you have nothing to hide, what's the problem?" More silence. "You're being childish." "No, I'm being practical." "You want transparency? Let's be transparent. I'll schedule 2 tests. One for you, one for me, yours first. She hung up on me. Update 1. I meant what I said. The next morning, I found a polygraph examiner in our city. His name was Vincent, retired law enforcement, ran a private practice doing pre-employment screenings and relationship tests. Apparently, Rachel wasn't the first person to think of this. Vincent said he did about 3 or 4 couples a month. I scheduled 2 appointments for the following Saturday, 10 a.m. for Rachel, 1 p.m. for me. Then I commented on Rachel's Facebook post with the details. Appointments scheduled. Yours is first. See you Saturday. The post got another wave of attention. Some people thought I was calling her bluff. Others thought I was being aggressive. Rachel's sister commented, "This is toxic. You both need therapy, not polygraphs." Maybe she was right. But I was past caring. Rachel had made this public, and now I was finishing what she started. Rachel called me that night. She'd been drinking. I could hear it in her voice. "You're really going to make me do this. You asked for it. Literally. In front of 700 people. I didn't think you'd actually—" She stopped herself. "Fine. I'll do it. But this is going to make you look paranoid. I'll take that risk." She showed up Saturday morning 15 minutes late. Vincent's office was in a small professional building downtown, 2nd floor. Waiting room with beige chairs and motivational posters. I was already there when she arrived, holding a coffee and looking like she hadn't slept. "You didn't have to come watch," she said. "I'm not watching. I'm waiting. My appointment's after yours." Vincent came out and introduced himself. Mid-50s, calm demeanor, handshake like a vice grip. He explained the process to both of us. The test would take about 2 hours. He'd ask control questions first, then the relevant questions we'd agreed on beforehand. I'd sent Vincent a list. "Have you been physically intimate with anyone else during our relationship? Have you been emotionally involved with anyone else during our relationship? Are you currently in contact with any ex-partners without my knowledge? Have you hidden any financial information from me? Is there anything else about your past or present that you haven't told me?" Rachel looked at the list and her jaw tightened. "These questions are invasive." Vincent shrugged. "They're standard for relationship polygraphs. If you'd like to modify them, now's the time." She shook her head. "No, let's just get this over with." She went into the examination room. The door closed. I sat in the waiting room and scrolled through my phone, not really seeing anything. Part of me felt vindicated. Another part felt sick. What was I doing? Was I about to marry someone I didn't trust? Or was I proving that trust by going through with this? An hour passed. Then another. Finally, the door opened. Rachel came out first, face pale. She wouldn't look at me. Vincent followed her. "We need to talk," Vincent said. Update 2. We sat in Vincent's office. Small room, desk cluttered with files and a computer monitor showing a graph I didn't understand. Rachel sat in the chair farthest from me, arms crossed. Vincent looked at his notes. Rachel showed deceptive responses to questions 2, 3, and 5. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means the physiological responses, heart rate, perspiration, breathing, indicated deception when answering those specific questions. I turned to Rachel. What the hell? She was crying now. Not the pretty kind of crying you see in movies. Ugly, gasping sobs. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" Vincent stood. "I'll give you two some privacy." He left the room and closed the door behind him. Rachel wiped her face with her sleeve. "I've been talking to my ex. Blake. From college. Blake. I'd heard the name before. High school sweetheart who she'd dated on and off through college. She told me they'd lost touch years ago." "How long?" "Since last summer. He reached out on Instagram. It started as just catching up. Then we started texting more. Then talking on the phone." "Are you sleeping with him?" "No. God, no. It's not physical. We haven't even seen each other in person." "But you're emotionally involved." She nodded. fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. I don't know what I feel. I love you. I want to marry you. But Blake, he understands me in ways you don't. We have history. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. So you've been carrying on an emotional affair for almost a year, and you had the nerve to demand I take a polygraph? That's why I wanted us to do this. I knew I needed to come clean, but I couldn't just tell you. I thought if we both did the test, it would force me to be honest. You're unbelievable. I stood up. You made me look like a paranoid asshole online so you could confess to cheating. It's not cheating if it's not physical. Yes, it is. My voice was louder than I intended. You've been lying to me for months. You've been sharing our relationship with 700 strangers on Facebook while hiding the one thing that actually mattered. She stood too. What about you? You're so quick to judge me, but you haven't even taken your test yet. Maybe you've been hiding things too. Fine. Let's find out. Vincent came back in when I opened the door. I'm ready for my test. He nodded. Give me 10 minutes to reset the equipment. Rachel left. Didn't say goodbye, just grabbed her purse and walked out. I sat in the waiting room alone, replaying the last year in my head. Had there been signs? Late-night texts she'd hide? Times she seemed distant? Maybe. Or maybe I'd been too comfortable to notice. Vincent called me in. The examination room was small, windowless. The polygraph machine looked less intimidating than I'd expected. Just sensors and a laptop. Vincent attached the equipment, bands around my chest, clips on my fingers, a blood pressure cuff on my arm. Try to relax, he said. Answer every question with a simple yes or no, no explanations. He started with control questions, my name, my age, where I lived. Then he moved to the relevant questions. The same list I'd given Rachel. Have you been physically intimate with anyone else during our relationship? Number. Have you been emotionally involved with anyone else during our relationship? Number. Are you currently in contact with any ex-partners without her knowledge? Number. Have you hidden any financial information from her? Number. Is there anything else about your past or present that you haven't told her? I hesitated. There was something. Nothing recent, but something from before we met. A DUI from when I was 25. I'd told Rachel I had a clean record because I was embarrassed. It was expunged years ago, but technically I'd lied. No, I said. Vincent unhooked me 20 minutes later. He reviewed the results on his computer, then looked up. You showed deception on the last question. Update 3, I explained about the DUI. Vincent nodded like he'd heard it 1,000 times before. That's what we call a minor deception. Not relevant to the current relationship, but technically a lie. I can note it in my report as clarified. Does Rachel need to know? That's up to you. But if you're doing this for transparency, I'd recommend telling her. I left Vincent's office feeling hollowed out. My test had been clean where it mattered. I hadn't cheated, but Rachel had. Emotionally, which somehow felt worse than if it had been physical. Physical affairs were about opportunity and weakness. Emotional affairs were about choosing someone else to be vulnerable with. I drove home and called Tony. Told him everything. So what are you going to do? He asked. I don't know. Call off the wedding? Probably. But hear me out. Maybe she did you a favor. She pushed for this test because she wanted to come clean. That's something. Or she's manipulative, and this was her way of controlling the narrative. Also possible. I didn't hear from Rachel for 2 days. No calls, no texts, nothing. Her Facebook post about the polygraphs was still up, but she'd disabled comments. On Monday evening, she finally showed up at my apartment unannounced. We need to talk, she said. Yeah, we do. We sat on my couch, awkward distance between us. She looked exhausted. I ended things with Blake, she said. Told him I couldn't talk to him anymore. that it wasn't fair to you or to our relationship. Good. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how far it had gone until I was sitting in that room, hooked up to the machine, and Vincent asked me those questions. Hearing them out loud made me realize what I'd been doing. Why didn't you just tell me? Why make it this big public thing? She shook her head. Because I'm a coward. I thought if I framed it as both of us getting tested, it wouldn't feel like I was confessing. It would just be mutual honesty. That's messed up, Rachel. I know. We sat in silence for a while. Then she asked, "Did you pass your test?" Mostly. There was one thing, the DUI from when I was younger. I never told you about it. She blinked. That's what you were hiding? A decade-old DUI? It felt relevant at the time. You asked if I'd ever been in legal trouble, and I said no. She almost laughed. That's nothing compared to what I did. Yeah, it is. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. Can we fix this? She asked. I don't know. You spent a year building a relationship with someone else while planning a wedding with me. You made me look paranoid and controlling online because you were projecting your own guilt. I don't know if I can trust you again. I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy, couples counseling, delete my social media, anything. That's not the point. The point is, you shouldn't have to be forced into honesty. It should be the default. Update 4. We didn't break up that night. Part of me wishes we had. It would have been cleaner. Instead, we agreed to postpone the wedding and start couples therapy. Rachel deleted her Facebook post after I asked her to, though the screenshots were already circulating. My inbox was full of messages from people who'd seen the drama unfold. Some supportive, some nosy, some just entertained by the chaos. Therapy was rough. Our counselor, Dr. Patel, didn't pull punches. She asked Rachel directly why she'd pursued an emotional affair, and Rachel admitted she'd been scared of commitment. Blake represented her past, her freedom, her life before me. Talking to him felt like keeping a door open. But why? I asked during one session. If you didn't want to marry me, why say yes? Because I do want to marry you, Rachel said. I'm just terrified of making the wrong choice. Blake felt safe because he was the past. You're the future, and that's scarier. Dr. Patel pointed out that Rachel's public demand for a polygraph was a form of self-sabotage. She'd subconsciously wanted to blow up the relationship before the wedding because she was afraid of going through with it. So I'm supposed to forgive you because you were scared? I asked. No, Dr. Patel said. But understanding the why can help you both decide if this relationship is worth saving. We did therapy for 6 weeks. In that time, I learned things about Rachel I'd never known. Her parents had a terrible marriage, stayed together for the kids, and Rachel grew up believing marriage was a trap. She'd never told me that. I'd also learned that I wasn't blameless. I'd been so focused on wedding planning and logistics that I'd stopped asking Rachel how she felt about any of it. I'd assumed she was as excited as I was, but knowing all that didn't erase what she'd done. I still woke up some mornings angry. I'd see her texting and wonder if she was talking to Blake again, even though she'd shown me that she'd blocked him. The trust was broken, and I wasn't sure it could be repaired. In early November, I made the decision. We were having dinner at a diner near her place, and she was talking about maybe rescheduling the wedding for next spring. Something in her voice, hopeful, tentative, made me realize I didn't feel the same hope. Rachel, I don't think I can do this. She froze, fork halfway to her mouth. What? I've been trying. I really have. But every time I think about marrying you, I remember sitting in Vincent's office and hearing that you'd been lying to me for a year. I can't get past it. Her eyes filled with tears. So that's it? After everything, you're just giving up? I'm not giving up. I'm accepting that some things can't be fixed. You broke something, and I don't think either of us knows how to put it back together. She didn't argue. just cried quietly while her food got cold. I paid the check and walked her to her car. We hugged, and it felt like saying goodbye to someone I used to know. Final update. It's been 4 months since we officially ended things. Rachel moved to a different part of the city. I heard through mutual friends that she's seeing someone new, not Blake, someone she met at a work conference. I hope it works out for her. I genuinely do. The whole polygraph situation became a cautionary tale in our social circle. Tony jokes that I should add relationship detective to my resume. My mom still asks if I'm okay, if I'm dating, if I've forgiven Rachel. The answer to all of those is sometimes, not really, and maybe. I think about what Dr. Patel said near the end of our sessions, that relationships fail not because of one big betrayal, but because of 1,000 small choices to prioritize something else. Rachel chose to text Blake instead of talking to me. I chose to focus on the wedding instead of checking in with her. We both made choices that led us to Vincent's office, hooked up to machines that measured our lies. The irony isn't lost on me. Rachel wanted a polygraph to prove loyalty, but what the test actually proved was that loyalty isn't something you can measure with sensors and graphs. It's built over time, through honesty, through choosing your partner even when it's uncomfortable. We didn't have that. Maybe we never did. The wedding venue refunded most of our deposit since we canceled so far in advance. I sold the engagement ring and used the money to take a solo trip to Colorado. Spent a week hiking, thinking, trying to figure out who I was outside of being Rachel's fiancé. It helped. People ask if I regret calling her bluff with the polygraphs. I don't. If I'd married her without knowing about Blake, it would have come out eventually. Better to know before the vows than after. The public nature of it all? That part I could have done without. But Rachel started that fire. I just refused to let it burn only me. I'm 38, single again, and oddly at peace with it. The next person I'm with won't need a machine to tell me if they're being honest. I'll know. And if I don't, that'll be the answer right there.